Stacey Akers.
And this is the latest edition of the Omni Real Estate Report. Today, we thought we would share with you an interesting experience that we recently had.
Right. We were invited to be on a local real estate radio show right before Christmas, which we did, and it was a blast. We had a lot of fun.
Had a lot of fun, covered some great topics, and we thought we'd share with you a segment of the hour that we were on the radio where we were discussing a pricing strategy.
Right. So this is something that we believe sets us apart from other listing agents and brokers in the Valley. We like to have a specific pricing strategy approach that we take with our listings, and we talk about it a little bit in the radio show, which we'll let you listen to right now.
That's right. So enjoy, and we'll see you on the other side.
So, all right, we've talked a lot about sports now. We've talked about Christmas lights, but we're really here to talk about real estate and what's going on in the market. And,
yes, sir.
It was one of the things that so Craig, you're the listing specialist on the team. Is that accurate to say?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And one of the things that you said that was really interesting to me was that 30% of listings go unsold.
Yes, that's true.
That seems crazy to me. I would have thought when we had such a hot market that every house would sell.
Right, and that's kind of a common misconception. But even in what you might consider a seller's market, approximately 30% of homes come to the market and they leave unsold as either a canceled, expired, or withdrawn listing. And, the sad thing about that is every one of those homes and every one of those families, that represents a goal or a dream or whatever they were trying to accomplish that didn't get done.
That got crushed.
Got crushed, exactly.
And you probably won't say this because you're really nice, but I wouldn't say 100% of those, but I would bet 90+% of them was because they had an incompetent realtor.
Of course, and they were working with a broker or a brokerage that allowed them to fail. There's only three things behind a home sale, and it is, of course, pricing is important. The condition of the home is important, and then, of course, the marketing by the agent is important. And it's those three things. And so, obviously, if a home leaves the market unsold, there was something wrong with one of those three things, and that agent, didn't bother or didn't know or didn't care to explain whatever it was to that client.
Along those lines, I think a lot of times agents know what the problem is, but they're afraid to open their mouths.
Well, and I liked it too because you said that. You don't care if someone doesn't like what you say at the table the first time because if you tell them the wrong thing, they're not going to like you later.
Well, exactly right. And I'd rather, go through those three things, make sure we're on the same page, when we're sitting there at the kitchen table, than, 6 months later, we're having the same conversation. All we did was just waste a whole lot of time and effort.
Well, and I appreciate that transparency and honesty with a client because I have a lot of people who call me. They get pre-approved to go buy their new house, and they say, oh, I'm going to list my house. And I say, oh, great. And I say, who you listing it with? And they tell me it's, their third cousin twice removed. And I'm like, oh. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, they're whatever their day job is. And then, but they just got into real estate. And I never want to pick on the new realtor.
Right.
A lot of them listen to my show, but I always say that that's a great person to join a team. And I think you said, Stacey, when we met, that they should be a requirement, right? You join.
Well, really and truly, you look at other professions, and you have to go through some kind of an apprenticeship or have some kind of training, or you start at start in a position where you're learning, maybe with a job that has less impact on people's lives, and then you go into the specific position where you're really have that much control. And honestly, it's not very difficult to get a real estate license. It's not difficult to hang your license, and you're out there dealing with people's, their most precious investment, really, which is it's not just their most precious financial investment, it's their most precious emotional investment outside of their children.
Head, right?
Yeah.
And so you get out there and you don't know what you're doing, you can really screw things up for people.
And that home sale is tied again to something that they're trying to accomplish, whether it's downsizing, upsizing, a nicer yard, a nicer neighborhood,
right. Some
a better
kind of
school,
neighbors will help with their Christmas lights.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But I like to say, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway because that's how I roll. But
that's why I told you guys this would be a good show.
Hit the cough
That's
drop.
why I said you said it was going to be a shit show.
But, you were talking about the incompetent realtor, and it's funny. A lot of the people that end up on with an expired or canceled listing, it's because they listed with a friend, or they listed with a discount agent. Or, the real bad scenario is they listed with a friend who gave them a discount. And that's,
and oftentimes, but
and
again,
that's a real problem.
Well, tell me if I'm wrong, though, right? I would think that if I believe in I think economics is something I love, and I believe in the simplest form, it's supply and demand, right? It's the price,
Absolutely.
right? And so in the end, it tells me that if a house didn't sell, it's because the price didn't match what the market would bear. And what I've witnessed, and you guys are the real experts in this field, is that someone comes in, they say, how much can you sell my house for? And they interview 3 people, if they even do, right? Most people
Right.
stop at 1. And then someone else says, I'm going to get you $10,000 more. And
Right,
they
it's
go, oh
the
my
highest
gosh,
bidder.
I'm going to do that. And
Right.
then
The
that's,
old-
that's,
But you
they
know
didn't
what?
have the hard conversation that you're going to have.
The old buying the listing strategy.
But the realtor's not buying the house.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right.
And so they're not bringing hard facts of, hey, look at, you know what, I can't get that extra $10,000, and here's why. Here's all the houses that sold nearby.
Well, and we actually have a very good pricing strategy so that people do not leave money on the table, because that's what people are afraid of, right? They want to make sure that they're not leaving any money on the table, and they think that they should do that by pricing their house at the high end of the market.
Which is wrong.
which scares people off, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And that's the thing. I mean, so when we talk about pricing on our listing presentation, is we're going to talk about price in terms of what the value of your home may or may not be, but more importantly, what Stacey's saying is absolutely right. We're going to talk about a pricing strategy that will guarantee you put the most amount of money in your pocket that the market will bear. And that's what people need to feel comfortable about. And once that's explained to them and they understand what that is, then they usually feel good about going forward with that.
They can have every confidence that we're going to manage that listing and the pricing of that listing so that they know we have hit the very highest point that the market will give them in terms of supply and demand and what the market is willing to pay for that house.
That was huge, right? I think you have to listen and understand that is really big, because in the end, I talk to a lot of people in this market. I talk to a lot of you, and there's a lot of mistakes that are made. And so my goal is always to have people on here come with a different perspective, say something new. And when I sat with Craig and Stacey, I knew that they would hit the nail on the head and hit it out of the park on this segment. Love that.
So there you have it. There's a little discussion on our Omni pricing strategy. It's very unique, and obviously the goal as a seller, the one thing you want to make sure of is you don't leave one single dollar on the table that should be in your pocket. And our pricing strategy guarantees that. Love the opportunity to share it with you in more detail. So call the office here, send an email, and be happy to go over that with you.
All right, everybody, have a great week. Thanks for joining us.